Hey YouTube, it's Mark.
And Rocky.
And we are
This Cruise Life.
We just spent a week on board one of Norwegian Cruise Line's newest ships, the Norwegian Prima.
That's right. It has been a transformative experience, and you're not going to want to miss what we loved
What we didn't love.
and what we hated.
So, let's go.
Now, before we jump into that full review, go ahead, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's free to do, and we'd love for you to join us for the rest of our cruise journey. Okay, so let's start in traditional This Cruise Life fashion with the food that we loved on board the Norwegian Prima. And we'll start with the included food.
Yes, Indulge Food Hall was one of our favorite finds on board. There were so many different offerings available, different restaurants, and they had that tablet system where you could place your order of what you wanted to get. It was so good.
I love that the menu at lunch was different than the menu at dinner. A couple of lunch standouts. Get that barbecue pulled pork sandwich from Q Smokehouse. It is out of this world. The pad thai from the Noodles restaurant. Oh my gosh, that was fantastic. At dinner, do you remember that angolati?
Oh, the angolati was so good with that braised beef brisket inside. Oh,
pillowy, oh my god. And then you had Indian dishes. You had Indian dishes both at lunch and dinner that were phenomenal from Tamara. That spot. Do not miss that Fresno pepper cheddar naan. It was out of this world.
I could go for one of those right now.
Same.
Now, one of the other things that we loved about Indulge Food Hall was that they had breakfast available as well. And going in for breakfast, it was a very different experience. It was a little scavenger hunt. We got to go around to the different little restaurants and see what each of them had to offer.
Now, personally, I think I liked the buffet experience better, where I just had everything laid out. I felt like I had more options, but that chana masala at breakfast down at Q Smokehouse, which was odd. It was probably the best breakfast item I had all week long. But yes, we love that there were multiple breakfast spots available on the ship. Oh, and I can't leave Indulge Food Hall without mentioning that German chocolate cake. Oh my gosh, so they've got an entire dessert station that's grab and go. We didn't love a lot of the desserts, but that German chocolate cake, if they've got that on the menu, or the tiramisu, grab those, trust me.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, Indulge Food Hall also made our hated list. So stick around for that. Speaking of included food, the Asian night at the buffet, it was just as good, if not better, than the main dining room. Those dishes were fantastic. Every single dish that we tried, amazing.
Yes. Now, on that buffet, I found the burgers to be quite good. They were being served from Surfside Grill, and it was a build-your-own burger bar, so you could really put whatever toppings you wanted onto it. And I did really like those French fries.
Oh my gosh. And I tried a variety of different dishes from the buffet just so we could, share our review and our thoughts with you. And there were many dishes that I enjoyed. That build your own pasta station, those soups, the build your own noodle bowls. Awesome items on that buffet. Skip the tacos, maybe. The popcorn chicken tacos weren't my favorite, but there's a lot of items that you will find on that buffet. Now, I do want to mention here, while we loved the buffet, we did hear feedback from other cruisers that it was much smaller than they were used to, and they didn't love that buffet. Now, we're not big buffet goers, so the smaller buffet with the added Indulge Food Hall, that was fine by us. But keep in mind that if you are familiar with those wrap around the entire ship buffets, this does not look like that, as you can see here.
Right, and don't miss out on this cruise tip. If you are having trouble finding seating during any of the lunch hour services on the buffet, you can go over to Palomar or Food Republic for additional seating.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
And another dining establishment that we really enjoyed was Hudson's. This main dining room was gorgeous. We should talk about this in the design section, but the food was also super delicious.
Absolutely beautiful spot.
Now, we also dined in the Commodore room, which is the other main dining room on board. And while the design wasn't as nice as Hudson's, the food and the service was also a little bit lower than what our experience was in Hudson's.
Cruise tip, go to Hudson's. You won't be disappointed.
It's true.
We also love that this ship has our favorite Norwegian establishment, and that is the Local. It is open 24 hours a day. I actually really like how they've separated it out on the ship. You've got the restaurant portion and you've got the bar portion. You can order food at both, but I liked kind of having that separation in there. But we had our standards and our classics that we love at the Local, so don't miss that spot.
And one last place that I want to call out that was included in our cruise fare.
And this is almost a cruise tale.
It really is. Head up to the observation lounge. They have some different hours of operation. So if you are a late riser like us, you can find a really nice and simple late breakfast in the observation lounge. They had those delicious corned beef and potato egg bites. They were so good. And they had a bunch of different cereal options and other pastries. Really good for that late breakfast. And then they also had snacks in the afternoon with sandwiches and wraps.
I had a pickle and ham sandwich. It was so yummy.
I knew he would like it. But don't miss that observation lounge for meals.
Absolutely. So there was a lot of food that was included that we loved, but there was also a lot of food on the specialty dining that we love as well. And this ship did not disappoint. The very first thing that we did, and we recommend this on all Norwegian sailings, go and make your reservations the moment you board that ship. They've got a dedicated area. Ours was in the theater.
Yep.
They queued you up and you made your reservations. Now, it can be a little stressful. I want to let you know that we were a little stressed because we're like, when do we want to see Rumors, the Fleetwood Mac tribute, versus when do we want to go to the prom? And so it does get a little bit chaotic, but having that dedicated space, make sure you get the reservations you want for your sailing.
One of the reservations that we had for the sailing was at Onda by Scarpetta.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark had some hesitations at making this reservation. He had a not so great experience when he sailed on the Norwegian Encore. And so we decided to take a chance. I looked at the menu and everything looked scrumptious. And I am so glad that we made the decision to dine at Onda by Scarpetta. We left so full.
Go to Onda. Go to Onda.
It was such good food. They have an amazing tiramisu. The appetizers were delicious. My veal was also very good.
Personally, I think the appetizers outshone the mains. I really
They
do.
did.
That truffle and mushroom. Oh gosh, it brought a tear to my eye. Oh, the other spot that we loved, speaking of specialty dining, Food Republic. This is my favorite spot on a Norwegian Cruise Line ship. It has got the sushi, the skewers, the soba noodle salads. It's that really Asian specialty dining spot. Absolutely love it. Love that you order via the tablets. Now, we did have a little glitch where they shut down the restaurant mid-meal, and so our ticket reprinted. So they just kept bringing us more and more and more food, and we're like, no, we're done. We were stuffed. But the sushi rolls,
Oh, those were good.
so much better than the Sky. Remember, go watch our Sky review. Oh, they were so much better.
They were.
Okay, so that's the specialty dining that we loved. There was specialty dining that made our didn't love list, so we'll get to that in a minute. But let's move on to, I think we're moving on to the drinks.
That sounds great. Let's go. I was so impressed with the bar service on board the Prima. There wasn't any time where we had to wait any longer than a couple minutes to get our service taken care
Maybe
of.
the Waves Pool Bar.
The waves pool, but it was worth it because we got some really good drinks up there. We had our wonderful mud slides.
Yeah.
But overall, I was very impressed with the drink service and the bar service across the ship.
I really appreciated this ship. Felt like it had more varied menus. You had the Metropolitan bar menu, you had the Belvedere bar menu, you had that standard pool bar menu,
Sure.
of course, but you had different bar menus across the ship. So I was able to order different drinks and cocktails, which I really appreciate. If you watched any of our former reviews, you know how much I like that.
That's so true. And speaking of Belvedere Bar, we loved this space, not just from a design perspective, although it was gorgeous, but we also met a really awesome bartender, Jefferson. If you happen to sail with him, say hello for Mark and Rocky because he took such great care of us.
I predicted that we would love this space and visit it a lot in our first 24-hour
right.
reveal video, and I was not wrong. We went every single day. It's just probably the best space on the ship in my personal opinion. And it's great because you can go there, order a drink, and wait for your reservation for Cagney's, or if you're going to the Commodore room, you've got a space to just enjoy and take in that beautiful artwork.
Yes.
I love that space.
And we also had some really great interactions with another bar server, and that was Alfred.
Yep.
We met him originally at the Improv through one of the LGBTQ plus meetups, and he knew what we wanted. He got our names down. He was always friendly and happy. And when he happened to see us walking by at the local, he immediately recognized us, said hello, and offered to make a beverage for us.
Awesome service. Loved the drinks on board. And with more at sea, you just keep drinking them. I'm telling you. Okay, so let's talk about the entertainment, and then we'll jump into the rest of the review.
Sounds good.
Take it away.
Let's start by talking about the live music on this ship. Everywhere we went, we found live musicians performing, whether it was the atrium, any of the lounges, up on the pool deck. It was fantastic. We loved that.
One of the things that I loved the most was Disco Wonderland. If that is on your cruise, I want you to mark it on the planner right now. Well, you can't in the app, but mark it on a piece of paper right now and go to Disco Wonderland. I was in awe. This gave off Virgin Voyages vibes. That gal that came out in the seahorse costume, the sequins everywhere, the dancing, the crew interacts with you. I mean, it was unbelievable. Probably one of my favorite shows.
It was an interactive experience. I don't
It
know.
was a dance party. It
Yeah.
was amazing. Even if you're not a big disco music fan, trust me, you do not want to miss Disco Wonderland. Also in that same space, you had the 80s party. Now, this party was the best 80s party I've had at sea. It was 2 hours of 80s music, and not those 12 or 14-minute remixes that some of the other cruise lines play. They were the actual songs that you could dance to and sing along to. It was so much fun.
Also in the Prima Theater and Club, oh my gosh, burn the floor. When we found out that it was on the Prima, we had to go check it out. And we are so glad that we did. So much energy, great singing, great dancing. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you go.
No photography or videography, so sorry, you just have to look at this picture of the cast taking their bows.
Yay!
We also loved Broadway Cabaret. Now check your Freestyle Daily to see where it is. Ours was in Sid Norman's. We loved it. It was just like the Getaway. They took classic Broadway songs that you know and love, and they turned it into a rock edition. Super fun.
And also in Sid Norman's, we got to see the Sid Norman's band perform in there, and they had an amazing group of singers as well. We got to see 2 different shows there. We saw Sid Norman's Rock the Poorhouse as well as Prom. So much fun, and the performances were really great and interactive.
What I would say is I do highly recommend getting there early. It is a small space on board. That's something that a lot of cruisers don't love about the ship. It didn't impact our experience all that much because we got there early or we were okay with standing room. So keep that in mind. There's always standing room at the back of the venue as well. But if you want to see those shows, it is a small venue. So keep that in mind.
Now, due to high demand for Sid Norman's Presents Rumors, they actually took that out of the space and put it into the theater. So glad that they did that. Both of the shows were full house shows.
This was feedback we heard on the Getaway. We couldn't even see the Fleetwood Mac tribute. Norwegian has clearly listened to the feedback. They've moved it out of that tiny space and they've put it into the main theater. You're right.
It was great.
I got goosebumps. Go see Rumors. Our Stevie Nicks.
Oh, she was phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Continuing on the vein of entertainment, there's so much to do around the ship. You've got the Rush as well as the Drop. Those are the dry slides that go down around the side of the ship. We laughed so much on those. Oh my gosh, that water slide.
The wave water slide was so much fun.
Everyone else was done, but I still wanted to go, so I just kept going around and around. It made Rocky record me.
It's true, but it was a blast. And unlike our normal cruises, we actually spent time in the pool and the hot tubs. This is unusual for us, but they were great.
Who are we? Those infinity hot tubs were huge, first and foremost.
They were.
And just what a beautiful view as you're sailing. And the pool had that ledge. I was able to have my mudslide. It was great. I also loved, and now this is going to sound weird that it's in the love section, I loved that mini golf was broken.
What?
I love that it was broken because they didn't charge. Norwegian Prima typically charges for mini golf, but because some of the interactive elements and the automated scoring system was down, we got to golf for free. I mean, the course is still there. All of the other fun elements are still there, and so I loved that. We got to golf, and we didn't have to pay the $5, which I think is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So I love that.
And I love it even more because I won.
I also love that we did Primo Raceway. Now, to me, this is a one and done. I've said this in other videos. I think that racetrack takes up far too much deck space on Norwegian cruise ships. Yep. And I'm super glad to know that she is removed from Aqua and Luna. But I am glad that we did the racetrack. We went around for like 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah, we did it with a group of friends and we had a blast.
I slammed into the wall once or twice. It wasn't pretty, but it was fun. If you get a chance, I do think you will love that experience.
And I love that there were welcome back parties in all of the ports. Such a cool way to welcome us back on the ship. And while we were getting back on board, they had those cooling towels, which was so nice and refreshing. Such a great way to come back to the ship. And one of my favorite things is to attend those Q&A sessions with the officers of the ship. Really enjoyed this and the way that it was presented. And the last thing that I want to mention is the crew talent show that was hosted in the Penrose Atrium. Gosh, there's so much talent that's hidden on these ships. You would never even guess it.
I honestly do think that if you're bored on the Norwegian Prima, cruising might not be for you because there was so much to do. This was probably our longest entertainment list in a review in a really long time. We didn't even mention the trivias and the different events going on around the ship. I mean, there's just karaoke.
Yep.
There's so much to do on Norwegian Prima. I don't think you'll be bored.
Not at all. Well, that's it for entertainment. Let's take a look at the design. Brace yourselves because there's a lot of gorgeous things coming out.
Oh my gosh, this is one of the prettiest ships I have ever. In fact, it might be the prettiest ship I have ever sailed on. The design of this ship, you walk into that atrium and it is a stunner. Oh
It
gosh,
took our breath away.
the just simple things like the elevator banks and that blue marble throughout with those twinkling lights. I mean, these were the prettiest. I realize you're probably like, I came to the review and I'm learning about elevator banks. It is unbelievably pretty. There's art everywhere across this ship.
Yes.
It gave serious Celebrity Apex vibes. It gave MSC Meraviglia vibes. I mean, it is a beautiful ship.
Now, while we didn't have the opportunity to dine at Le Bistro, we fell in love with the design of this space. It is absolutely gorgeous. Those floor-to-ceiling chandeliers, never seen anything like it before. Don't miss it. And also the observation lounge. We already talked about it a little bit, but this space was beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrap around the entire front of the ship. This was a great space to just kick back, chill, and relax and enjoy your sailing.
Hey, we may have even done some editing there of the first 24 hours on board. It's a great space. Speaking of a design element that we loved, the non-smoking casino. Now, most Norwegian cruise ships have this feature. This was a glassed-out, walled-off space where the smoking was kept inside. Speaking of smoking kept inside, I also loved that the Humidor Cigar Lounge kept the smoking inside. There was like a double lock barrier system. So you didn't have smoke in the casino. You didn't have smoke in the bars. Absolutely loved that. Great job, Norwegian Prima.
We already mentioned the beautiful elevator banks. Something else that we loved, which was unexpected, were the little garbage bins contained within the wall within those elevator banks.
You just don't see those on cruise ships.
No, it was such a cool way for people to discard their things that they were done with.
Now, the reason you don't see them on cruise ships is because there were also glasses in them and plates in them and all of that other stuff. And so this is why we can't have nice things.
It's true. Now, as we exited the elevator banks and we made our way towards our cabins, first we discovered the carpeting had those triangles in them to tell you which way was forward, and the hallways were nice and wide.
Oh my gosh, we could walk shoulder to shoulder down those hallways. In fact, we did it a couple of times just to prove a point. It was so much better than the Breakaway and Breakaway Plus class ships. Love that. And now, one of the things that we were worried that was going to make the hated list was the size of the stateroom. So on the Breakaway and Breakaway Plus, those staterooms are postage stamp size. They are tiny. And so we're like, okay, how much smaller is Norwegian Prima going to make these rooms? We were stunned. Not only are those rooms so much bigger, the design is so pretty.
Yes.
There's tons of storage. There's tons of outlets, 10 or 12 outlets. Both of us could be in the bathroom at the same time, washing our hands, getting ready for bed, the shower. I loved that stateroom. Loved it.
And it was quiet, which we also really enjoyed and appreciated on this sailing. No loud bing bongs coming into the room to announce some arrival to port or anything like that. It was great.
The only 2 times that I was woken up in that stateroom were debark morning, rude, as well as the drill, the safety drill that they did at 10 a.m. one morning. We had gone to Disco Wonderland or something the night before. I was tired. I'm sorry. But those, I didn't hear a peep in that stateroom the whole week. Loved that.
And the last thing that I'll mention about the cabin was those comfortable beds. Oh, we slept so well over the cruise.
Now, there were a couple of nights where it was a little bit hot in the room. Didn't impact me because I had my portable travel fan, but just keep that in mind. That was the only little complaint that I had about that stateroom.
Right. Now, as we wanted to lounge out on the deck during the sailing, there was some really nice swinging chairs that were available down on deck 8.
And those day beds in the water,
Those were so cool.
we laid out several occasions, and it was just a great space.
It was.
Speaking of great spaces, that theater, we've already mentioned all of the shows and entertainment. I mean, just walk into this theater with me and be wowed. That convertible space, absolutely love that.
Well, that is everything that we loved about the design of the Norwegian Prima. Let's rapid fire through the other.
First up, boarding was a breeze. No long lines. We walked right onto that ship.
When we got onto the ship, the muster check-in was super easy. They directed you exactly where to go, and even better, no paper handouts this time. Yes.
The crew in general, the best Norwegian crew we have had on any of our sailings. They told us on board that they were the #1 rated ship in the fleet, and I absolutely believe that.
Yes, and the LGBTQ plus meetup was fantastic. We met some amazing people on it, and the host of it was Bradley. He was from the performance crew, and he was great. He took amazing care of all
Thank
of
you,
us.
Bradley. The spa on board Norwegian Prima is the prettiest and largest spa we have ever seen at sea. They had 3 different saunas, an ice room, tons of relaxation chairs, a pool. Amazing.
And we loved the Wi-Fi. It was super blazing fast, and we actually even struggled to get through all 150 minutes through our sailing because we had those 4 ports. It was great. And we also loved that there was a little list that was handed out when we went to make our reservations. This list shared all of the information about the entertainment that was going to happen so we could make our dining reservations with ease.
Now, we're not usually a fan of single-use pieces of paper. You know that. But it highlights a disconnect between headquarters and the ship. Headquarters created this app that is really not easy to navigate or use to figure out when things are happening and schedule things. And so the ship just created a simple piece of paper that they handed out and said, here's when everything is happening, here's when the ports are. And that allowed us to make scheduling so much easier. I hope this is something that they can just build into the app in the future.
And we loved when we would enter any of the dining establishments that were complimentary. They had the little washy-washies, and the people would stand there and they would spray your hands with the sanitizer. But the best part about it was a couple of crew members came up with their own theme songs for Washy Washy. It just made it fun and entertaining. We loved that.
Hey, they even did that when we got back on the ship from port, which I love. Something that I always mention, relaxed debark, schedule your flights later, just wait to get off that ship. We heard people complaining about the lines getting off. We slept in, we went and we got breakfast. It was a wonderful, relaxed morning.
Yes, and we made so many new friends on board the Norwegian Prima. Thank you to everyone who said hello to us, who we got to hang out with, who we did different activities on the ship. It was such a great time.
And it is still humbling to me when you all say, hey, can we take a selfie with you guys? Oh my gosh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It means the world.
Well, that is everything that we loved about our experience on board the Norwegian Prima. You could tell it is quite a long list because we had so much fun and that ship was gorgeous.
Yes.
Now, let's switch gears and talk about what we didn't love. Let's start off with the boarding process. There was one little issue that we encountered where we got set back about 10 minutes upon trying to board the ship because our key cards didn't work.
Remember that?
It was sad.
And security was like, no, you can't board the ship. What?
Worst nightmare ever.
The good news is they had someone stationed there,
Yes.
a guest services station there, and they reprinted our cards, and then it worked the rest of the cruise.
It was fine.
I also didn't love that this was the first ever Norwegian sailing where we had multiple erroneous charges on the account. One day I woke up and there was a charge for every single item in the minibar. One day I woke up and there was a charge for a super premium beverage. The good news is we went down to guest services and they handled it each time. But they said, well, we're going to have to research this and make sure that you didn't actually. I don't know how you're going to research that I didn't drink the water from the minibar, but we have water delivered to the room for that reason.
Yeah.
So that was the first time it's ever happened. But again, they were all removed.
And we kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but Sid Norman's space, as well as the Improv, both of them were very small. We're not sure what they were thinking when they designed the Prima class of ships, but holy cow, it was not easy finding a place to sit. Now, the good news is we're fine with standing, so
Yes.
there was not any problem finding standing room. But just be aware, if you want to have a seat, you're going to have to plan to arrive early and wait in line to enter.
It's clear Norwegian Cruise Lines made a mistake in designing these spaces. You'll see a change already coming to Aqua and Luna, so you will have more opportunity to see those shows on those new ships.
Something else that we didn't love was our dining experience at Palomar. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a gorgeous designed space, but this Mediterranean-inspired meal offering was just not right for our palates.
There was no Mediterranean at all about it. There was no flavor in any of the
there
food.
wasn't.
I mean, honestly, but I will say, listen to what I had to say about Palomar here. The vanilla cheesecake is the best thing I have had at Palomar. This thing is phenomenal. I probably don't recommend you spend $60 for that cheesecake in all seriousness. It was a disappointing meal.
It was. We stopped at Harvest K. We set it on the getaway. We didn't love it then, and I just don't know that we're ever going to find a way to love Harvest K.
There's just no included food. There's
No.
no included beverage. Unlike some of the other exclusive destinations, it just feels like a money grab. We did spend 20 minutes on a chair on the beach.
We did.
But then we got thirsty and we're like,
Well,
let's
time
just
to
go
go
back.
back to the ship.
Let's go back to the ship. I've already hinted at the app, but we didn't love it. It's improved already from the getaway where you didn't have to pinch the Freestyle Daily. Loved that.
Yeah.
I also loved that I could see my charges real time. So when those mistakes showed up, I could go and get them resolved. But actually seeing when events are and being able to heart things, and it's just not a very great app.
Right. And then also the scheduling was a little bit of a challenge for us. There were so many activities going on, from the dining reservations to the show reservations to enjoying the performances at Sid Norman's, etc., that it was really a challenge for us to fit everything in. So we found ourselves going to the local for food sometimes, or maybe the buffet or the observation lounge. It just wasn't easy to fit it all in.
I guess maybe Norwegian Prima wants you to come back for more, Rocky.
Oh, darn.
The last thing that we didn't love on board the Norwegian Prima is there are no forward-facing decks. Now, you know we love our Carnival secret spaces where they've got those forward decks where you can watch Sail Away or the stars. They don't have those. They're all balconies on the Prima, unfortunately. A couple of miscellaneous things we want to mention for you. They didn't impact our cruise, but they may impact yours. First and foremost, Cruise Next will leave you a voicemail every single day on your cruise. Now, the good news is they don't call into the room. It's automatically delivered to the phone, but you will have that flashing red light where they're trying to sell you on your next Norwegian voyage.
Something else to be aware of is that racetrack is huge. It takes up a ton of deck space.
Yes.
So if you're wanting to lay out or enjoy the pool, you have one small pool, and then the layout spaces are on decks 18 and 19 for some additional sun decks. You can also drop all the way down to deck 8 where there's that wraparound deck to enjoy some more lounge areas.
Hopefully with Aqua ripping the racetrack out, NCL will finally solve the deck space problem. That thing has taken up space for far too long, and it is far too underutilized. The final thing I just want to mention in the miscellaneous category is we're already starting to see some wear and tear on this new ship. And so, again, it didn't impact us, and I don't think it's going to impact you. There's some chipped paint, and the planters, all of the plants are dead, and the planters are all empty on deck 8. We're not sure what's going on there. There are some signs of wear and tear, and so we just wanted to mention that so you're aware.
Well, that is everything that we loved, what we didn't love, and a few things to be aware of about the Norwegian Prima. Let's jump in to what we hated.
Honestly, we really struggled to come up with anything that we hated about this experience.
There were actually two things that we came up with after much deliberation. The first one being a repeat from the Norwegian Getaway experience. If you didn't watch that video, go check that out. We went to the welcome back party for Latitudes Rewards members, and just like on the Getaway, we were served saltine crackers and a couple of cubes of cheese, and that was it. Now, the drink service was improved on this sailing, but really not a great way to feel welcomed back to the ships.
Here's a sleeve of saltine crackers for the entire ship. It was just weird.
It was weird.
The other thing that we hated, and this one didn't take too much deliberation actually. This one was a pretty solid hate, and that is an indulge food hall. So it's not big enough. We need to make that space much bigger. But two, the tablet systems for ordering. We absolutely love that concept. We love being able to order from the different restaurants. But here's the catch: if you're sitting at one of the counter sides for the restaurants, you actually can only order from that restaurant. You have to be physically sitting at one of the tables or one of the bar stools kind of on the perimeter in order to order from any restaurant. Well, the problem is people sit down at those tables, they prop up, they put their luggage, their suitcase, they read books, whatever it is, rendering all of those tablets useless. The only spaces that are available are the counter spaces, which means you can only order from that location. This is a really dumb design. Honestly,
very frustrating.
It should not matter where you're sitting in Indulge Food Hall. You should be able to order from any of those venues. There's amazing food in there, and they lock you down. It's dumb. It's dumb. Norwegian Cruise Line, please, please, please listen. People should be able to order food from any of those tablets. It's already a small space, and the fact that you have to, It made the whole thing stressful. Honestly, we hated that about Indulge Food Hall.
Well, that was something you were very passionate about. That wraps up everything that we hated about our experience on board the Norwegian Prima. Stay tuned for our final thoughts. Based on everything that we experienced on our sailing, and just thinking about the overall design, the entertainment, the food options that were available, plus our interactions that we had with the various crew members across our sailing, the Norwegian Prima was transformative. I've said it before. And because of that and everything that we experienced on our sailing, I'm giving this experience 5 out of 5 ships.
That's amazing. Honestly, as Rocky just mentioned, the experience was unlike any other we've had before. We actually went to guest services and said, is there room to stay on board? We've never done that before. 75 cruises in. If it's not my top, it's probably top 3 of cruise ships I have sailed. It was amazing. No doubt in my mind, this is a 5-ship out of 5-ship experience. Absolutely loved the Prima.
Oh my gosh, it is so wild that we both agreed on that 5 out of 5. That tells you something about the Norwegian Prima. Well, thank you so much for sticking through this video. We hope that you got some good nuggets of information. And of course, if you have any questions about our experience, throw them in the comments below. We will respond to every comment that comes through on this video.
And as I mentioned, we're going to be on the Aqua, we're going to be on the Joy, we're going to be on the Epic, we're going on a whole bunch more of Norwegian adventures that we are going to share here on the channel.
Check out this playlist that we've created that has all of our Norwegian content. Please go ahead and hit that thumbs up. We know you like this video.
And I know because we were so polite in the beginning and asking you to hit that subscribe button that you've already joined the This Cruise Life cruise community. So welcome aboard and ring that notification bell so you know when we post our Norwegian content, our Virgin Voyages content, Carnival, whatever it is that we're posting out there, ring that notification bell so that you know and you don't miss any of it.
Well, thank you again for watching this video. We hope you had a great time and we look forward to seeing you out on the ocean.
Bye for now.